Today, we are discussing draft winners and losers. I don't want to waste any of your time. Let's hop right into it.
Where Keenum's going to try to work the ball on the boundary. Steps into it.
Kicking it off here, we have Anthony Richardson as a clear winner. I mean, for one, seeing him go top 5 means he's getting for sure draft capital, which all but guarantees the fact that Anthony Richardson will have at least a year or two to start at the NFL level. Not only that, this Colts system is actually pretty good. I mean, the Colts O-line, yes, it was pretty banged up last year. Yes, it was not the greatest unit, what we were expecting, but even still, it is a fine offensive line. Something that at least is not a negative on the roster, and even still, Anthony Richardson can get out of the pocket if he needs to. They do have Jonathan Taylor, arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL, and a good supporting cast for him. I mean, Michael Pittman, a fine wide receiver one, a guy, a go-up-and-get-it type of wide receiver. You also have Alec Pierce and Josh Downs, who are more than fine at the position. That's why I think Anthony Richardson, a clear winner in this NFL draft and somebody who I'm going to be drafting absolutely everywhere now. I think he does deserve to be the quarterback one, considering the draft capital, the landing spot, his sheer rushing ability. I mean, Anthony Richardson has it all. He has the ability to be the number one quarterback in all of fantasy football. And with this landing spot, it makes me more and more confident by the day that he does have the potential to fulfill that quarterback one. Moving on to my first loser, though, we have Will Levis. And Will Levis, a very obvious loser. I mean, this is somebody who was touted to go in the top 5 of the NFL draft, instead falls all the way to the top 5 of the second round. So this is somebody who was going from guaranteed starter for a year or two at least to now we don't even know if he's going to be able to start a game in the NFL in his entire career. I mean, most likely he will. The Titans are not enamored with Ryan Tannehill. Yes, they like him, but he's really not the long-term option. They go out there, grab Malik Willis last year. They go out there, grab Will Levis this year. I think this Titans team could use an upgrade at quarterback, and whether or not that's Will Levis, we'll have to see. But either way, Will Levis, I think a fine pickup in the second round. But now that he's not getting first-round draft capital, now that he doesn't have guaranteed starting job-level draft capital, I'm pretty much off of Will Levis at this point. I think in 2 quarterback leagues, he's a fine play to pick up in the second round alongside a guy like Hendon Hooker, but I don't see drafting him ahead of guys like A-Chain, ahead of guys like Charbonnet. I just think it's a risky investment for a second-round pick, and second-round quarterbacks hardly ever work out. I'm off of Will Levis now. Let me know what you think about that down below, But either way, moving on to the running back position, we have Jahmyr Gibbs as my number 2 winner, my number 1 winner overall in fantasy football. I mean, this is somebody who finds himself getting top 15 draft capital at the running back position, which only 7 running backs, I said 6 in my last video, only 7 running backs have been able to do in the last 10 years, and it's elite names. It's guys like Christian McCaffrey, Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette. I mean, these are all elite names, and now Jahmyr Gibbs finds himself in a position where he is alongside these elite names. Not only that, we have the Lions, who are a phenomenal roster. I mean, a team with an elite offensive line. You got Ragnow, you got Sewell, a team who invested very heavily into him, taking him with the 12th overall pick, their first pick in the draft. And a team with Jared Goff, who has supported phenomenal fantasy running backs in years past. I mean, look at Todd Gurley during his prime. Look at Jamal Williams last season. He's been able to do it year in and year out, and he's not a mobile quarterback, so he is going to be checking it down a lot to Jahmyr Gibbs, which I think is awesome for Jahmyr Gibbs. Yes, the landing spot at first was a little bit concerning with David Montgomery and with DeAndre Swift, but at the same time, DeAndre Swift is out now. Although you could say that the Lions paid David Montgomery $6 million a year, $18 million. They can get out after 2 years, which I think is great for the Lions. And not only that, these running backs are completely different. David Montgomery, you're more in between the tackles type of runner. Jahmyr Gibbs, more the passing down back, somebody who's going to be heavily utilized on third down sets. And I think there's more than enough touchdown volume in this offense to go around. I really, really like Jahmyr Gibbs now. I think he has propelled himself to be my 102 at this current point. In 1 quarterback rookie drafts, I think he finds himself in just about the best situation you could ask for. In my top landing spots video, you check that out up here. I did have the Lions at 8th, but that was, again, before they moved on from DeAndre Swift. One last thing with Jahmyr Gibbs, there is potential that he lines up at wide receiver for a portion of the season, which I think even if he's getting 2 targets a game at the position, that is still an extra fantasy point and a half that most other players at the position simply are just not getting, especially with the fact that Jamison Williams is out. It's just going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. They clearly need another wide receiver, and I think Jahmyr Gibbs can fulfill that for this team. I really like Jahmyr Gibbs. Just to rattle off all the reasons I like Jahmyr Gibbs one more time, he's got the draft capital, he's got the receiving work, he's got an elite offensive line, he's got Jared Goff. I just think Jahmyr Gibbs is stepping into an elite situation, and that's why I do have him as my Dynasty 102. Now ahead of Jackson Smith and Jigba, which I know it feels crazy to me because I was Jackson Smith and Jigba all day going into the draft. Now, gotta be Jahmyr Gibbs. Moving on to my running back loser, though, we got Zack Charbonnet, and I think this is probably the most obvious loser in all of the NFL draft. I mean, my excitement for Zack Charbonnet was huge. I was hoping he would go pick 60 to the Bengals. I was hoping he would go to the Chargers, a good team that could use his receiving capabilities. And to the Seahawks' credit, they can use his receiving capabilities. Ken Walker, not really a check-it-down type of running back. Zack Charbonnet will be stepping in more for third downs when they need a check-down type option. But I think this destroys both Charbonnet and Ken Walker's value. I just don't understand how you could be drafting Zack Charbonnet and Ken Walker where their current ADP is in startup drafts if they're both going to be on the team together. I mean, yes, this could be a Tony Pollard-Zeke situation, but at the same time, I am a little worried because, I mean, their wide receivers are also so stacked. You have Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. There's going to be so many touchdowns on this team that I think it benefits Geno Smith more than anyone else because he simply just has so many weapons to go around. I'm a little concerned with Zack Charbonnet's floor, and I think he goes from being almost the unanimous 106 in Dynasty rookie drafts to now being a late first, early second type of pick, which is one of the biggest fall-offs at any position, and I just can't even justify drafting him. I don't think he's my RB3 anymore. You can make a case that he's not even the RB4 anymore. He goes behind guys like Zay Flowers. I can't draft Zack Charbonnet where he is right now. Depending on where he falls to, let's say he falls to a mid-second round pick, I'm fine catching the falling knife on Zack Charbonnet. But right now, I just can't take the risk with him going in the late first, early second round. Moving on to my last position group, and that is the wide receiver. The first winner I want to talk about, and I do have two winners, is Quentin Johnston. I think Quentin Johnston is easily a winner at the wide receiver position. I mean, this is somebody who goes to one of the most dynamic offenses in the entire NFL with Justin Herbert. And I know a lot of people are going to point to the fact they have Mike Williams, they have Keenan Allen. And in the short term, that is true. These guys are going to be taking a ton of volume year one from Quentin Johnston, which is a fair argument. But after that, Quentin Johnston is going to have free reign in this offense led by Justin Herbert, a guy who could have 35 plus touchdowns on any given season. And Keenan Allen and or Mike Williams will be gone. They could save $43 million by cutting both of them, $23 million cutting Keenan Allen in 2024, and $20 million cutting Mike Williams in 2024. For a team that just drafted a wide receiver in the first round, they are going to be getting rid of at least one of these players, especially considering Keenan Allen just turned 31 a mere 3 days ago. Happy birthday, Keenan Allen. He's almost going to be 32 at the end of this NFL season. And at that point, how are you not going to at least consider cutting a 32-year-old wide receiver? And then you have Mike Williams, a guy who is starting to age a little bit as well, has never been able to stay healthy consistently. So I think they will cut at least one of these guys and restructure the other. And a lot of people are saying Quentin Johnston is just another Mike Williams. I 100% disagree with that. I think, well, they have similar builds as players, like stature-wise. They are different types of wide receivers. Mike Williams is more of a go-up-and-get-it guy, whereas Quentin Johnston is more of a speedster, somebody who will kill with both his size and his speed. And you could check it down to Quentin Johnston and be fine. He is a nice security blanket as well, although that's not primarily how you'd want to use Quentin Johnston. I think these guys are different enough wide receivers to where they both will be receiving playing time in this offense without really overlapping and taking each other's roles. That's at least my opinion, because I think Quentin Johnston's speed is something that this offense direly needed, and I think now he does fly up to be my 104 in Dynasty rookie drafts simply because the landing spot is better than Jordan Addison, although I think the talent on Jordan Addison is a little bit higher. I think the landing spot's a bit better, getting a better quarterback for the long term, going to be attached to Justin Herbert for at least the next 5 seasons, which is phenomenal in my opinion. Whereas Jordan Addison, there is a little bit of uncertainty with Kirk Cousins, and there just is a little bit less targets in this Vikings offense. I mean, you have Justin Jefferson, you have TJ Hawkinson. I still think Jordan Addison is a winner. I think this is a great landing spot for him. But either way, Quentin Johnston, my number 1 winner at the wide receiver position, and my number 2 winner, which should be no surprise to absolutely anyone, is Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice is one of the most phenomenal winners, and it's 2 words. Chiefs effect. I mean, you go to the Chiefs, your draft capital is going to be boosted up. That is for sure. But not only that, the Chiefs end up trading up to grab Rashee Rice. And while, yes, they have whiffed in the past, we've seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire, we've seen Sky Moore, both not be productive NFL players. Well, I'm not 100% sure Rashee Rice will be the greatest NFL player. He did have a very high RAS score, 9.52, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's what it should be on the graphic up there. Either way, Rashee Rice, a very talented player, somebody I think fits well in this offense that contains Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think that Pat Mahomes needs another target in this offense, and I think Rashee Rice could be that. And that's why I do like Rashee Rice, somebody who I did like the film on this past season, having over 1,300 yards in this SMU offense. The main problem I have with Rashee Rice is his breakout age. I mean, this is somebody who really didn't have success at the collegiate level until this most recent season, having 1,300 yards. Before that, never eclipsing 900 yards, which is, again, fine, especially going to the Chiefs offense. I'm willing to overlook a little bit more, but it certainly is a red flag in the profile. But when you're drafting a wide receiver in the second round, there's pretty much always going to be red flags in the profile. Either way, I think Rashee Rice does land himself as a late first, early second round dynasty pick at this point. But either way, let's move on to our last player. It is another wide receiver, and it is Josh Downs. I think Josh Downs is a pretty huge loser, all things considered, in Dynasty, simply because he is going to be going to an offense that is not going to be passing the football much. This is an offense predicated on the run with Anthony Richardson, with Jonathan Taylor, and not only that, this is an offense that already has a 1. They already have Michael Pittman, and well, I don't think Michael Pittman is all that great of a player. He's at least going to be the number 1 in this offense. You also have Alec Pierce, who is a pretty decent 2, will at least contest for the 2 spot over Josh Downs. He just went higher in the NFL draft last season than Josh Downs did this season. Not only that, Josh Downs, a 3rd round pick. Well, 3rd round is still okay for wide receivers. That's when you get to the point where you're just more so taking dart throws at the position. That's why I'm a little concerned with Josh Downs. I think overall, this situation could have been a lot better for him if he'd landed on a team like the Chiefs or a team like the Chargers, but going to a team that is a run-first offense where you don't get the draft capital, very, very concerning to me. And although I did like the talent of Josh Downs, he's been nothing but productive at the collegiate level over the past 2 seasons. I just am a little bit concerned with the total volume he's going to be getting in this offense simply because there is so many other threats. And also the touchdowns as well. Jonathan Taylor is going to be vulturing touchdowns to the goal line. Anthony Richardson is going to be vulturing touchdowns to the goal line. And Michael Pittman's going to be getting touchdowns to the goal line with his big body frame. You even have guys like Jelani Woods who also have insane frames and will be vulturing touchdowns as well. I don't like this landing spot at all for Josh Downs. I've seen people actually trying to hype it up. I just don't think it's a good landing spot. Maybe his talent supersedes that, but I don't really like it. I'll be honest. Either way, though, guys, that's going to be it from me. Hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, go down and give this video a like. I'm answering every single comment. So if you guys have any questions, let me know down below. And subscribe to the channel. Turn the notification bell on so you don't miss another video. It is the number 1 way to support me. It's totally free, and you can always change your mind later. With that, though, guys, as always, have a good day, a good night, and a good life.